So we are actually seeing that gold prices hasn't been able to move much for today. And why is that the reason, guys? Because so far we have been able to see that prices is just moving between these ranges for now. Okay, so since Monday, so Monday here, so exactly from here, we've been seeing prices just has been offering us this kind of market movement, which is a very tiring, boring market movement. And on our discussions on the live streaming sessions yesterday, that there's a possibility we could be seeing prices build up. A cup and handle has failed, the breakdown has happened, and we exited the trade with a slight losses. And overall, this is the trend that we are looking at, and this kind of market movement is certainly could be a challenge, especially for me as a trend follower, because if you guys are watching this so far, that means you guys are actually having a hard time to decide how you guys could enter the trades. If you guys are trading, you guys are easily hitting your stop losses, and that's also the case on my side, as prices has been moving on a very uncertain mode for now. So what I think one of the major reasons that we are seeing this is probably the lack of events, and certainly right now we are on the curbs and on the verge whether the gold market movement will start breaking down lower or start to push up higher. So I think that really causes a little bit of this momentum slowdown on the market, and so far this market movement has been a bit slow. Okay, so for now, I think what is happening as of now is we are definitely going to see a little bit of a very tight market, and certainly this kind of market movement is a very comfortable trade for scalpers, meaning they are trying to chase 30 to 50 pips, but certainly you guys could get a clear market movement. When it's going up, you're chasing it; when it's going down, you're chasing it down. But personally, for me, I've been having a hard time because there's no clear trend since the start of the Monday sessions trading, and this kind of market movement is certainly going to be very tricky, and you need to be able to watch most of the time to actually really find a good entry point, as most of the time when you're watching, prices will be moving faster and actually give you guys a little bit of a mixed signals at most of the time. So certainly this kind of situation is tricky. We are going to see how this goes. And definitely right now, if we are watching closer, what is happening as of now is the possibility that price movement will be moving on this range. So right now, if you're watching, let me just delete this. So I'm suspecting that if this market movement will be going up, it's likely to hit 3250, 3245 area, and it will be slowing down around here. So, but definitely this kind of trade isn't really my style to make the trades, as the price movement hasn't been actually allowing us to get a good entry point and enter the trades really well. Certainly risk reward wise, it could be a very good trade, but in terms of certainty of the price movement, it's a bit mixed, guys. Okay, so that is certainly the case, and we'll see how this goes. That definitely, if you guys are scalpers, you guys could actually see on this last 1 hour, prices has been moving on this range. You can try to scalp to 3238, 3239. Okay, but definitely right now, so far from what we have been able to see, the market movement isn't much. Yes, that's true, but certainly there are very short-term opportunities, scalpers, but not a lot of swings. One swing and that's over for today. Okay, so if you guys wanted to try to do some scalps, make sure that you guys to enter at lower prices so that you guys could be much safer. If not, I would suggest that for you guys, try to wait out, because the chart setup isn't really well. If you guys are trying to do a swing, and if you guys are trying to do a short, it seems that prices has been able to hold itself pretty well. So certainly the trend that we are looking is on the sideways and not offering us any clear market movement until now. Okay, so we need to see how this moves, and based on this kind of market movement, we'll try to assess how this goes. And definitely, like I said, the tendency for prices right now is to go up a little bit, 20 to 30 pips. You guys could try to chase for it. For me, not me personally, as I'll be waiting for more clearer market setups before I actually could decide to enter the trade on the market. Okay, so if you guys do have any questions for today, you guys could let me know on the comments, and I will let you guys know what I'm thinking and see how this goes. Okay. And for everyone, welcome if you guys are on the live streaming sessions, and if you guys do have any questions on the market, you guys could let me know. I'll try to help you guys as my best. Okay. And so far the trend is still been very clear that short-term momentum is still offering us a little bit of a push to high grounds. So yes, so around 20-30 pips is already achieved. So for scalpers, you guys could take some profits here. And for me, I'm really not seeing any clear signs for now. I'll still be waiting and see how this goes later on, because so far we are not seeing any clear signs, and waiting is a key market, and I've been waiting for some time, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, so for now, as market movement hasn't been much, let us switch towards the long-term market movement and actually see what is going on there. Okay, so I guess if we are looking at the long-term market, you guys can actually see it much clearly. So I'll be sure it's showing you guys what actually happened here. Okay, so far from what we have been able to see, it seems that prices are right now trying to test the support area at 3,200 at this price. Okay, so let me just draw the area so that you guys could see it clearly. So 3,200 around this price. Okay, so around this, and it seems that every time prices tries to break down lower, it always fails, and it seems that the support area there has been quite strong, slightly to hold itself pretty well. But at the same time, we do know that the market movement isn't going to easily go up further. It's not easily going down lower. That means if we are trying to look based on what has been happening, is the tendency for prices to move on the sideways. And sideways doesn't really offers us a lot of interesting move, but certainly if that is happening on the market, we need to be able to do two things. First, we assess things and try to decide whether we will do any action. So far, I've decided that most of the market movement has been a bit slow, not offering us any clear signs of the market movement, and definitely I'm still waiting for further clarity on the market. And once we are getting those, I will be making some moves. But certainly with this kind of slow market movements without any clear market action, is certainly a pretty tough environment to trade. That is certainly the case, and definitely I will be suggesting that you guys should be cautious, guys, because despite the double top hasn't really completed yet, we are not seeing any signs that prices could be breaking down below 3,200, but the signs are there. Prices seems likely to go lower with this kind of market movement, with how things has been going. Even though, let's say we erase this, it could see itself that prices hasn't been able to surpass 3,250 area, couldn't break below 3,200 area. So this period of time where prices could be deciding how the next market movement will be is a key factor on the market, and we'll try to see how this goes. But certainly on the long term, it's going to be a very boring market on the daily charts right now that we are watching, and on the short term it's also very much the same. So on the long term charts, it's really much more about how this will be moving next, because this will be the determinant where prices will be moving next, whether it will be staying above 3,200 and staying between the ranges of 3,200 towards 3,300 plus, or prices could start breaking down, which so far we haven't been able to see any sign of that happening. So let's get back to the shorter time frame to actually see is there any changes. And for this time, I will be switching towards 5-minute charts, as the market movement is too slow and give us a lot of uncertainty. So let us try to see from the shorter time frame what has been happening. So far, price movement during our start, prices starts to rebound from 3,233 at its lowest, and right now prices at 3,237, and certainly that's not a big move, and it is not showing us any clear signs. But I think we need to be, I would say, be patient, wait for a clearer setup, because yesterday on the cup and handle formation, it failed pretty bad, I would say. Yep, around this price. Yep, and prices just immediately fell down, and until today we haven't able to see prices recovering above 3,240. So I still see that there's a strong resistance there, and we need to be able to wait for better market setups on the charts before actually deciding to enter the trades, because right now, if you guys are looking at the charts, we haven't been able to get those kind of market certainty so far. So you guys could see that market has just been ranging over the last 1 hour between 3,230 towards 3,240, and that's all, guys. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, scalpers, take your profits when you are chasing for 20 to 30 pips. The movement isn't much, and definitely I've already been telling you guys that with this kind of market movement, you guys need to be patient, and there's a lot of fake breakouts, false breakout, false breakdown that could be happening on the market. So I would suggest that you guys stay put if you guys are not finding any good setups, and if you guys are doing trades, I believe most of you guys should be hitting your stop losses easily no matter what your directions is, because so far the market movement has been on a sideways and we are trying to see where this next market movement could be. Okay, but so far not a lot of interesting movement. We are trying to see how this move will be moving next and assess from there. Okay, so we have been discussing what could be happening on the gold, long term, short term, and basically what we are seeing is actually the possibility of a sideways move. So we'll see how this goes, and with this kind of market movement, it will be a very boring move. So that is certainly a key thing that I need to say to you guys. And from here, I'd suggest that you guys be prepared and be cautious if you guys do any trades. Okay, so next we'll be switching towards silver market and try to assess the situation there and see what is going on too. And definitely I'm suspecting that things don't really change much from what we have been seeing there and here. So, but without further ado, let us try to see what has been happening on the silver market. Okay, so the silver market is moving in these ranges since Monday here. So starting from here, we've actually been seeing the same scenario happening on silver. Prices hasn't been moving on a clear trend in the short term since yesterday. So it's here. This just jumps down, and right now jumps again. But the market movement is not offering us any clear trend on the market, and this kind of market movement requires some market movement certainty, and certainly silver market actually is moving much better despite what is happening on the gold market. And truthfully said, I'm trying to see whether silver prices could be breaking out higher than $32.50 above here, because this is a critical resistance area multiple times. Every time silver tries to break out of it, prices just returns back lower since yesterday until today. So I would love to see how this price reaction will be working pre the post breakout and see whether prices could sustain its price above $32.50. If not, there's a chances that we could be seeing that silver could be behaving in the same manner with what has been happening on gold, where prices has just been stuck and moving on these very tight ranges, similar with what we have been seeing so far. So I'm still preferring to wait, trying to see how this will go. And the tendency, yes, short term wise, it seems that prices are set up to build up higher, but unfortunately we are seeing that prices are slowing down every time hitting the resistance at 3,240. So that's why I'm still preferring to choose and wait and see and try to see how this goes. But definitely this kind of market movement has been a bit annoying, especially for trend traders like me. There's not a lot of swing, just one swing and that's all, and certainly this is much more of a day traders or scalpers market movement. And definitely it's a little bit tricky, as I've said. Yes, good evening PL, and if you guys have any questions about the market, you guys could let me know on the comments guys as usual. And good evening everyone as well. But certainly we already been discussing on the gold, and right now we are trying to discuss what's happening on the silver. So back towards the silver market. Later on I'll be back on the gold if you wanted to ask me furthermore. And for now we are seeing that there's a possibility that prices will be slowing down again after hitting the resistance area at $32.50 at the silver market, as prices has been moving on a very uncertain, or what I would say a sideways market since Monday until today. So since there's a lack of news, could be one of the main reasons we are seeing that prices has been slowing down. And and with this kind of market movement, it's going to take some time, but certainly tonight we still have some Federal Reserve speaker could be speaking, so we could actually see some movement at later market hours again, similar with what happened last night. And Canadian CPI will be released in another 1 hour and 30 minutes, so probably from there we could actually see some greater market movements. And silver certainly tries to maintain the upward momentum, but I'm still seeing the possibility of building up on this kind of market movement, guys, because prices has always been able to break out, but certainly it couldn't hold up above the support area that it has just surpassed from its previous resistance. So definitely, like I said, yes, the momentum that has been building up on gold looks like it is trying to build up higher, but we still need to remember, with the trend that we have been ongoing, it has been on a sideways since Monday and hasn't changed much since then. There's a high certainty that prices should be slowing down from here, but the price drop won't be much, so that's what I'm afraid of. And so far we have been seeing prices has just been trading between these very tight ranges, 3231, 3238, so it's very limited. But based on what I am seeing short term wise, it seems that prices are trying to build up to go higher, similar what is happening on the silver. So we'll try to see whether prices could be breaking out higher or not, because that will be a very key factor to see what kind of market movement could be happening, and we'll try to assess the situation from there. And certainly we'll be watching closely on silver and gold, since from what I have been trying to take a look, there's actually not a lot of market movements happening on the currency side as well so far. From what I've been seeing, other than the Australian dollar, the rest of the market has been actually quite limited and moving in a very similar movement. So that's definitely against the Australian dollar after we are seeing the RBA decided to cut its interest rates, and as a result we started to see that temporarily for today, the Australian dollar has been weakened against most of the other currency. It's a very common move after a rate cut, and after the strength coming out from the Australian dollar, it's very common to see that the Australian dollar is weakening. But on the currency side, as you guys could see, most of the currency movement is very close, very nearby. That shows us that there's not a lot of market movements happening between most of this currency, other than the ones that is weakening the most against today's strongest at Japanese yen. But like I said, we'll try to assess how this goes here. If there's some changes happening, we could actually be making some move, but I will prefer to wait and see, as prices has been quite tricky on gold market, and right now it's also still slowing down. So definitely will be waiting at here for now. Okay, so it seems there's a build up. We have been seeing that silver is also trying to break out higher, so I'll be waiting for a confirmation whether prices could be holding up higher, and we'll see from there, guys, because silver certainly has been reacting quite different compared to gold. Price movement has been a little bit moving compared to gold, but certainly price ranges is very tight, not a lot of movement other than the last 30 minutes here. And let me just delete this just to show you guys what I'm looking at, the charts sideways and trying to break resistance, and we'll see how this goes. Gold is certainly also will be trying to build up and try to break out higher. We'll see whether this could be forming pretty well, and definitely right now it's still a bit slow. You're not seeing any clear signs as of now. Okay, but what about silver's long-term market movement? So back towards the daily charts first, to show you guys what really happened is we have been seeing that silver prices hasn't been able to move higher than $32 and $33 above, and that really shows that price movement is stagnant between this sideways range, and it has already been doing so since the 14th of April, trading between $32 and until today, 20th of May. So it's almost a total of full trading month, and prices just stay stagnant, and that really shows you guys that silver has been moving on a sideways and didn't really offer any clear trend on the long term, and it will be a very tricky trades for you guys if you guys are trading on the daily charts on the silver, and definitely most of you guys will be avoiding if there's no clear trend. But certainly on the short term, with this kind of tight ranges, there's certainly some opportunities could be arising, especially for short-term traders. But for me personally, seeing this kind of market movement will be a very tricky move, because it seems that prices right now is trying to break out higher, $32.50, but it's still too early to say. We haven't been seeing the candlestick has been completed, and we would love to see how this price holds up, because if price holds up, we could actually see that gold prices could start going higher. But like I said, it's still too early to say. There's still some time, and we'll try to assess how this goes. Okay, but certainly with both gold and silver started to increase, there's actually certainty that the US dollar index should be weakening as of now. So in a moment, I'll be trying to take a look what has been happening on the US dollar index and try to assess things from there, because if the US dollar index is weakening and we are trying to see that both gold and silver will be breaking out, will we be able to see a breakout happening at later market hours? I think that would be a very key mark, guys, because if prices starts to break down, break up higher than 3240, 3250, we could actually be getting the confirmation that we have been waiting for. If not, prices will be just moving on this very tight ranges and not showing us any clear signs. Okay, so definitely we'll try to see what will be happening from there, and after our discussions on the US dollar index, we'll see whether the silver prices could stay above $32.50 and whether gold prices could stay above 3240, as prices has been consolidating there for the past 3 hours. Okay, so 3240 hasn't been able to surpass, and definitely the selling pressure, if you guys are looking at the volumes, is pretty high. So based on the price action, it seems that prices will be having a hard time to break out of the resistance 3240 at its closest resistance. But as I've said, we'll try to assess how things goes later on after our US dollar discussions. Okay, and definitely if you guys have any questions about the market, you guys could let me know. But I believe so far we have already given our analysis, and hope you guys got a little bit of insight what is actually happening, since the trend is moving on a sideways, meaning there's no clear market movement. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's just moving in a very tight range over the course of almost 2 trading days since Monday, guys. Okay, so definitely with this kind of market movement, it's very easy if you guys are trading on your own, easily hitting your stop losses and not getting any clear traction on the trades, guys. Okay, so that will definitely be the case, but later on we'll try to see on the other markets, on the US dollar, try to assess things from there. Okay, prices seems still unable to go higher, unable to go lower, and prices are right now still stuck between these tight ranges so far. Okay, so let us discuss what is happening on the US dollar index now. Okay, so what actually happened on the US dollar index movement? So I think it's also very important for us to get into it, so that you guys could get a little bit of idea why the market movement hasn't been much. Okay, so Monday around here, so this price. Okay, so one of the main idea that we are looking here is the US dollar index. Yes, the market movement has been weakening, but at the same time, if you guys take a closer look, what are you looking at? Okay, so if you guys pay closer attention, you guys can actually see that despite, yes, it seems that prices are moving lower, but the movement has been very limited. So I think that's also the reason why we see that prices hasn't been moving much on the gold, is we also do see other supporting factors such as the US dollar also hasn't been able to rise much, which in theory, if we see that the US dollar index goes up higher, we could actually see gold goes down. And if the US dollar index hasn't been moving much, what would you be expecting could happen on the gold? So it's a very pretty common sense, I would say. And definitely it's also part of the game where we could be seeing such market periods happening. But obviously, why we are seeing that prices on gold has been able to sustain itself, because so far from the Monday market open sessions, we have been able to see so far prices has been declining on the US dollar index by a total of 40 cents. And since then, prices has been moving on sideways, and certainly that's why we have been able to see that why gold has been able to maintain its price above 3,200. Because if you guys take a closer look itself, that the US dollar index hasn't been moving much. So to say, despite the movement is weakening, which could obviously help to push up gold prices, but so far the movement hasn't been that critical on the long term, and we are not seeing any sustainable or even big movement happening on gold. So a lot of factors are playing into play, and certainly the US dollar index hasn't been moving much, is certainly impacting the market movement on gold and silver as well. And that's the view on the short term. But on the long term, it's always the same, guys, that prices are trying to break down lower, reversal has failed, and the market certainty looks like is to see prices to go down lower, as what we have been seeing over the past few months, starting from February, guys. Okay, so starting from February, we have really been seeing that prices has been going down, and a lot of false breaks out, but eventually prices just keeps on going back lower. And despite the initial trade talks, it seems that the US dollar index has been weakening too, and it seems that the trend will continue to follow on what is the major trend line. Again, the major trend line right now is downtrend, so long term I'm still seeing that the US dollar index could be weakening. So what does that leaves us on the US dollar? So it seems that the US dollar index has a little bit of a good backing coming up from the US dollar index strength. Yes, that's true, because with the US dollar index weakening, we could actually see that gold will be able to get some support from the market movement. Yes, that's true, but at the same time, we still know that the gold movement isn't just affected by only one factor, it's also affected by a lot of things. So yes, we can use the US dollar index to try to gauge how things will be moving, but eventually we need to return to see what is happening on the chart to able to decide where the next market movement will be. And so far, yes, that's true, we are moving on a sideways range, and we are not able to see any major market movement happening, despite the weaknesses that we have just been seeing on the US dollar index over the last 15 minutes. And we could be able to see that gold is just moving a total of 30 to 40 pips and ranging between it. So it's not really a profit, but it's a ranging 30 to 40 pips movement. And it didn't really offer us a lot of move, a lot of market certainty for now. I will still need to assess how things goes. But seeing what is happening on the gold should be reflecting the positivity that could be coming out from the silver market for now, because silver market still tries to break out higher than $32.52. So we'll try to see how this moves, because certainly if silver market often tries to break out higher, we could actually be seeing gold could maybe be testing the resistance at 3240 area, and we could get a little bit of greater clarity on the market if once that happens, and we'll see how this goes, because right now price movement has been a bit slow for both gold and silver in terms of the overall market movement. So right now, let us see. So US dollar index has been weakening this red candlestick over the last 15 minutes, so that's why we started to see that gold will start to rebound. But at the same time, we are seeing that the market movement is also ranging. So I would say it doesn't really matter much since the market movement is also ranging. So that's why we are seeing the gold has also been ranging over the past 2 days, including what is happening on silver and what is happening on gold. So we'll try to assess how this will go. If prices could start breaking out higher, building up better setups, that could be a very key point on our trades, and for you guys as well, I believe, because so far prices just keeps on rising without any great setups or any great consolidations to get a better entry point in terms of risk reward scenario set. Okay. So far, this is what we are looking at. Prices still hasn't been able to break out. So yep, definitely trying. Yes, that is certainly the case, but without a lot of success. That is certainly the case. So we'll try to monitor how this will go. And definitely with the market movement on silver still able to sustain itself, prices seems to be able to go higher. Maybe chances could be appearing faster on the silver rather than the gold for tonight. Maybe that could be the case. But since prices has just been continuing to go higher without any clear consolidation, it is a really hard thing to find a good entry setups. Okay, but maybe it's a different case for the gold, as market movement has been a bit slower, and on this kind of slowness we could actually get better market entry point and setups compared to what is happening on the silver market. Okay, so seems that prices are trying to test the resistance at 3240, and should there be any changes, I will be letting you guys know. So far the momentum has been there. Prices seems like to try to break out higher. Yes, that is the case, like what we have been seeing on silver. But again, resistance at 3240 has been quite strong. Highest point of price over the last 3 hours has been at 3239.50, and right now we are still struggling around those price 3239.50 towards 3240. So we'll see. Okay, it seems that prices should be able to try to break out higher, and this could really bring a change on the market. So we'll see. Definitely there will be some chances if the market continuation goes up higher, and judging based on the silver market movement, it seems there is a little bit of room for a small gain on both gold and silver for now, after the certainty appeared on the market for now. Okay. Let us switch to shorter time frame to actually see how things has been going. Okay, so the setup has been good, so maybe you guys could also try to find a lower entry point to minimize your risk for now, as things still is a little bit uncertain. but the tractions that we are getting seems to be going on the right directions for now. Okay, so maybe you guys could also consider to try to find a better entry point at the lower side and try to see how things will be going from here. Yes, market movement right now is still slowing. Yes, that's the case. And maybe we couldn't be getting more movement. Yes, that could be also the case, but we'll try to see how this market movement will be. Market movement are still trying to break out higher despite the earlier struggles. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, right now 5-minute charts. Okay, so silver market is also slowing down, so we'll see whether the price movement will be sustained above $32.50. Okay. And if we're right now on gold, prices are testing resistance at 3241 again for once. So we'll see whether rebound could be happening at 3237, which could offer you guys a very limited risk, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so prices is still unable to maintain higher for gold, but for silver it seems that prices will be a bit slower as prices has been going up quite fast without any clear setups, as I've said. So we'll see how this goes. But certainly the setups back on the gold is failing, guys. As simple as that. So that's why I'm still waiting for further clarity, and later could be a good case scenario rather than rushing in and trying to rush things up. And we'll try to see whether the consolidation at 3237 will be holding itself pretty well above it. So if it holds well, maybe we could see a little bit of clarity between both gold and silver. Okay, but for now I think I'll be switching towards the currency market movement first, so we can have more time to analyze what will be happening on gold on the short term. And let us move towards the currency strength charts. Okay, so far the currency strength charts has been showing us that prices hasn't been able to move much, and I think main reasons we are seeing that the US dollar index isn't moving much, and as a result most of the other currency is also lacking of news. Maybe we could be seeing Canadian dollar could be moving much more later on in the market, but certainly based on the currency strength charts that we have been showing you guys since the early live streaming sessions, that on the early part we have been showing you guys that today safe haven currency has been the key. Prices on safe haven currency has been the strongest alongside with Swiss franc, with the leading of the pack coming out from the Japanese yen. But other than that, most of the other currencies such as the Canadian dollar, US dollar, pound sterling, euro has been moving on a very similar ranges without offering any as a clear price strength that is coming from those four currency. And tonight the weakest pair is coming out from the Australian dollar, where the RBA decided to cut its interest rate, and that really pushed down temporarily Australian dollar power for today, alongside with the New Zealand dollar, which is the neighboring country. So I think the easiest way we could actually see what could be happening here is the possibility that prices could be moving lower for AUD Japanese yen, which has been happening so far. And right now prices has been consolidating at lower price. So far support is still existed on the AUD Japanese yen at $92.50, and movement hasn't been much. NZD Japanese yen is also the same. However, if we try to compare it against AUD USD and NZD USD, I'm afraid that's also the similar picture that we are watching, because we also see that the US dollar index hasn't been able to move much, rather than the weaknesses appearing on Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar itself that really pushed down the value of AUD USD and NZD USD. But then we comparing against the strongest and the weakest pair could actually say something about the currency market, that tonight market movement hasn't been much. It should be a slow market, and we try to see how things will go. But certainly the biggest thing that could be happening tonight could be coming out from the Canadian, Japanese yen, and the US dollar Canadian, because we have Canadian inflation news, and it seems that inflation should be slowing down a lot from the yearly basis, on a monthly basis, and also other criteria that the Bank of Canada has set, and it seems that prices should be moving lower. And if that is the case, we could actually see that the US dollar against the Canadian dollar could be going stronger. Meanwhile, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen could be going weaker. But so far, yes, price movement is a little bit early to say so that prices on the Canadian dollar will be weakening. And so far the price movement hasn't been much, so definitely it's waiting for the big momentum for the event that could be coming out in another 1 hour more. So it's going to be a tricky market, but we'll try to assess how things goes at the end of live streaming sessions, whether the Canadian dollar could continue to weaken. Maybe we could try to make some move on the currency charts. But for now, currency movement isn't that interesting as you guys are thinking earlier on. And we have been seeing AUD Japanese yen and NZD Japanese yen is actually offering us a little bit of insights on what is happening on the currency market tonight. Has been slow. Okay, the momentum around this hour isn't much as what we usually see around these hours, so it's going to be a very tricky market. Okay, so back towards the gold charts, and it seems that prices are still trying to build up a consolidations, even though it's slow, even though the candlestick isn't that well, but it is still trying to hold above 3237 as we say. And if that happens, that could really change things out. But I would love to see what is happening on silver. Yes, silver price is also maintaining itself, even though the price movement is still inadequate for me to say, but at least the market movement is similar with what is happening on gold, and maybe we could be getting something coming out from here soon. So we'll try to see how this goes. So far, yes, it's been a bit boring market. Isn't that it's not that interesting, and we'll try to see first guys for now. And later on, I'll be discussing what is happening on the oil market. With most of the currency market hasn't been moving much, commodities market hasn't been moving much. What will be happening on the oil? Okay, so we'll be trying to take a look there. And if you guys are enjoying our live streaming sessions, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share this video enough analysis with your friends and anyone that you guys know who is doing trading. I hope this analysis could be helpful for them, because it is what we are experiencing, and we are sharing with you guys what could be the best case scenario, what could be the worst case scenario, short term, long term, and hope that helps you. And if you guys wanted to get premium signals for free, you guys are welcome to chat me, and I'll let you guys know how you guys could get those for free without paying any money. Okay, so yes, gold is slowing down and silver is also slowing down. So like I said, I am still waiting, guys. I've not ruled out anything for now with this kind of market movement. And the US dollar index should be starting to rebound, as we can see that the movement has been very tight. It has been ranging and not really offering us any movement. So that's why we started to see that gold started to weaken, because we started to see that the US dollar index starts to strengthen back, and that could really push things up, maybe on the US dollar Canadian dollar, but overall the movement itself hasn't been much. So it seems that tonight's news event could be a very key event for the Canadian dollar to the currency market, to see actually whether the market will be moving or not. Okay. Okay, yes, so a lot of the other currency market is also in a little bit of a mixed, not showing any signs. So for now, I think I'll be avoiding it for now. Maybe the most interesting thing that could be happening tonight is the US dollar Canadian dollar and the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen, based on the current indications that the currency trading charts has been able to show us. Okay, so for now it seems that gold prices return, silver prices also returns, and we need to get the confirmations. Yes. Okay, so gold is also, the US dollar index starts to weaken back, so you could see this could be a very good ranging market, but building up a good consolidations. So we'll try to assess, and right now we are already watching at 5-minute charts, and if this charts couldn't show us anything, I'm afraid that bigger picture market will be waiting for further confirmations again. Okay, so let's try to switch 15-minute charts. It seems that it's trying to break out, but the breakout itself hasn't been much, so that's why we are still waiting for further movement on the market. And back again, it has been pretty much the same. Market has been slowing down again once again. Okay, so that's why I'm still trying to assess and still remain in line with today's view that market has still been ranging sideways, no clear trends, as simple as that. Okay, so not a lot of move could be done. If you are doing a lot of moves, certainly it will be a very tricky move, and this movement couldn't be offering a lot of market movement. Yes, that will be the case, and it's easily going to hit stop losses if trades isn't doing very well. Okay, we are back to square one. Prices consolidate once again, even though silver prices hasn't been dropped that much, but today the strength seems come out from the silver market compared to the gold market. And definitely with this kind of gold market, if you're trying to do long, certainly there are more hope for you guys to do it on the silver market with the strength that we have been seeing so far. But certainly gold market tonight will be a very tricky market, since we have already been seeing that happening since last night. I would say market has been ranging till today, till now, till this second, guys. So we'll try to assess how this goes. Because we are literally back to square one where we started our live streaming sessions. No move. 3235, 3234, and right now the price movement has returned towards near those area, showing the lack of movement, the lack of momentum on the market. Okay, let us try to assess things on the oil market for now. Okay, so oil market itself, surprisingly, is actually showing us the same picture, guys. Okay, so yes, there's some news coming out from Iran, proposals with US, but it seems there's not a lot of clarity as well. Prices are still able to hold itself above $60. So it seems that the price movement has been very tight, as you guys could see, that since Monday here. So let me try to pinpoint where it is exactly. So around this price. Okay. prices has just been moving on this okay, this range, and oops, and what this offers us is the momentum is also loosening happening in the oil market. And if you guys are trying to find a path, the path seems to be showing the lack of clear direction, meaning it is again on a sideways. So during the sideways market, what you could be doing, so one of the things that you could be doing is trying to act based on the opportunities. That means you could change your trading style, which is not really a good thing, I would say, on the long run. So you can try to buy near the low, sell at the resistance. So there will be a resistance points here. As you guys could see, that resistance is the price of point that prices couldn't surpass. So you can try to pinpoint certain price that couldn't be breaking out. It could be a lot of lines. So you guys can try to pick out where the price point couldn't breaking out higher than that, and try to decide that, okay, so this is the strongest resistance, and support is around here. It's also around this. So we'll try to see, but definitely over today on the oil market, we've been seeing that prices are even tighter than it's usually to be, and the market movement has been showing a very tight range between $63 towards $62. So a very limited margin of error and not a lot of move happening here. So definitely there's only two things: try to change your trading style or stay put, and try to assess the situation until a proper setup appears. And certainly the setup in the oil market is much more unclear, because if you guys take a look closer, that the market movement on oil is even much more erratic, showing no clear entry setups, and prices just immediately goes up very fast and goes down very fast, goes down very fast, goes up very fast. So it's actually a really hard trade to make, as there's no clear setups as of now, and it's totally different compared to last week, where there's been trends, there's built up consolidations, but since today we are not seeing much. Okay, so that's why all market for short term, not a lot of ideas, and it's right now moving on a sideways. And if we are trying to assess things on the long term daily charts, it seems that prices are still trying to stay above $60, as I've told you guys yesterday, the same thing. And it seems prices could be staying above $60, and it could be hard to break down below that for now. Okay, so we'll try to see, as prices has been oversold, there's a tendency that prices will build the consolidations on the lower side, and it could be a hard thing to break down below $60 on the oil market on the long run. Okay, but with this kind of market movement, we are going to need more certainty and clarity to see how the next market movement will be moved. Personally, I'm seeing neutral towards bullish for the oil market. Okay, maybe ranging towards 65, 66, maybe that's the view in the long term. But for tonight, it's also the same thing happening on the gold market, silver market. Not a lot of clear signs. Okay, so let us get back towards gold, see what has been happening. Okay, so it seems that prices finally managed to rebound. Okay, so that could be a good sign, honestly speaking, guys. And let us switch towards 5-minute charts to see it even clearly, to see how the rebound has happened and what is happening on the silver market as well. Okay, silver market, it seems, has been able to break out higher, so it seems there's more strength, as I've told you guys, is happening on silver. But since we are waiting for more setups, it seems that the setups here is actually building out, and looks like it is building up a good chance for prices to go higher from here. Okay, so there's a good chance that prices will go up higher, but it seems the strength is still appearing on the silver market. So you guys could choose between one of it and try to trade one if you guys are still undecided. or you guys could try to trade too, but limit your risk too. Okay, so let us see how this goes. Seems there's a good market movement could be happening here, so we'll try to see how this goes, and hopefully it could be the start of the breakout from here, because prices has been consolidating for quite some times, and it seems that prices could be moving faster from here. Okay, at least there's a little bit of market movement that has been happening, and with the US dollar index still remains under pressure, we'll love to see that, because if once US dollar index starts to rebound, that could be a hard case for gold and silver to continue to go higher. So we'll try to see how that happens, because all of those factors come into play. So seems yes, prices are still holding well. Prices could still to go higher for now. But like I said, there's still a strong resistance, so we'll see how price will be reacting towards those, and if suddenly prices couldn't breaking out higher than that, that could be a bit of a problem in the later hours. So we'll see how things will be going, and we need to remind ourselves that silver itself is very near to the resistance at $32.59. So we'll see how this market movement will be colliding soon, and try to see whether the gold market movement could be going up further higher. Despite the build up has been very well, prices are consolidating really well, but eventually it comes to see how the individual market movement and the US dollar index staying under pressure, that could be a good sign. So we'll try to see how this goes. Okay, so for now we have really been discussing most of the assets that we have been looking out for, and so far the most interesting market movement definitely appeared on the silver. Hasn't been slowing down for quite some time, and right now it's slowing down, but gold hasn't been budging much. So we'll try to see whether at the very least prices will be moving nearing the resistance area 3242, and we'll see how this moves next. Okay, and if there's any changes, I'll be letting you guys know. Okay, so it seems that the silver market movement has started to slow down, and certainly it's also shown through the market movement on gold, and we'll see whether the market movement on gold could sustain itself and try to see what could be happening from here on. Okay, personally I'm still seeing, after such a long period of time consolidations, it should be building up a good market to go higher, but there's a tendency it's also very near to the resistance, so we'll try to see. Okay, and US dollar index again starts to rebound. Maybe that could be the case. So any slight movement could be impacting what is currently facing both the gold and silver market movement. Okay. So it will be very key for silver prices to rebound at the support, to be able to see that the continuation of the strength coming up from silver for tonight, and that could be reflected throughout the market movement on gold. If prices stays above that, you could actually be seeing some good signs could be happening on gold, and we'll try to assess the situation on the remaining of our live streaming sessions. And remember guys, we have a Canadian inflation could be coming out soon, so we'll try to assess things from there as well, since the US dollar is also starts to weaken, if we are seeing here. So it seems that Canadian dollar is getting a little bit of a boost, so to say, and obviously over the last 1 hour we started to see Canadian dollar starts to rebound. So it's more of a mixed market here. So Canadian dollar is strengthening against Japanese yen, where Japanese yen has been weakening. Meanwhile, US dollar CAD, US dollar starts to show some strength again, and that could be giving a little bit of problem here, and also on the US dollar Canadian dollar. So try to see USD and CAD has been moving very close. Meanwhile, Japanese yen is weakening, so maybe that will be out of our choice for now. So maybe the best choice for the event should be around US dollar CAD. But like I said, the US dollar CAD is also still moving in a very uncertain trend. US dollar is also strengthening together alongside the CAD. So we'll see how this goes. Certainly market movement from the current move hasn't been able to show us any insights where the next market movement will be. So for now, price movement has starts to consolidate on silver, and the same thing is also happening on gold. So this price action should be a very key point. If prices starts to rebound, we could actually see prices should be able to start trying to break out higher. Okay, so we'll see from there. And with the US dollar index weakening, as I've told you guys, maybe you could see some move happening here on the gold market. But so far the US dollar index still remains about the same, so we'll try to see whether the rebound could be happening here or not. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, you guys could let me know in the comments. And if you guys are enjoying our live streaming sessions, don't forget to give us your support by giving us a thumbs up, give us your likes, and don't forget to follow and subscribe for daily analysis on the market as we have done today. And hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you guys would love to trade together with your friends, get some insights with your friends together, you guys could also share this video with your friends and anyone that you guys know who is doing trading. Okay, and so far, yes, the market movement has been slow. Definitely the build up is much better, but we'll try to see how this goes eventually, as things hasn't been that well for tonight. Okay, that's certainly the case. Movement has been slow, has been uncertain, and yes, it has been a very tight market for most of the trading assets that we have been looking. Oil, silver, gold is also the same. So try to get a better entry point as usual. I always suggest that if you guys could do buy at lower price, sell at higher prices, that will be very recommended. But sometimes you guys could get it, sometimes you guys couldn't get it. So try to make a layered entry point some point of time, so you guys could get a good entry point. If the market is bullish, shouldn't be a big problem if you guys are having a good momentum, but situations like this should be much cautious. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, so let us see. And definitely I've been drinking quite some, so I'll be having a small break and I'll be back with you guys and see how this will be moving next. Okay, so I'll be back. Wait a moment, guys. And got any questions, just let me know on the comments. Okay, so for now, prices seems there's a very strong resistance up there, 3241.5, and we'll try to see how this goes. If prices isn't reacting well, you guys could take earlier exit points, and break-even points should be fine because the breakout failed, so you guys could consider to take small profits if you guys are in the small profits, if you guys aren't that confident with the kind of movement. Personally, I would say that try to see whether prices could sustain above 3238. Okay, but definitely this kind of signs isn't good, and this could be a worrying thing for now. Okay, so we need to see how prices will be reacting soon, but so far from what we are seeing, yet US dollar index make a little bit of a rebound over the last few minutes, and that gives a little bit of a pressure on gold, and it's very near the resistance. So if you guys are in a small profits and if you guys are feeling uncertain, you guys could take some small profits. That should be a good scenario, and try to see how this goes for the remaining of your positions. Because certainly right now price movement is in a very tricky price of point, and yes, I do agree with it. And definitely I will try to watch out whether prices could sustain above 3238. Okay, so in a few minutes I'll be ending my live streaming session soon, so later on I'll be giving you guys the recap on what really happened and how you guys could be doing next. Okay. So if you guys are enjoying our live sessions, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and give us your thumbs up and share this video, guys. Okay. So if you guys don't want to miss out on our analysis, don't forget to follow and subscribe, guys. Okay, so it seems time is almost up for us, so let me give you guys a little bit of recap. Okay, so yes, PL, see you later on the VIP sessions. As usual, we'll try to see how this continues, but so far the build up has been very well on the gold, and I'm expecting the same thing should be happening, so I'm actually quite convinced for short market movement towards 3243, 3244. There's still some hope for there, so you guys could try to watch out there if you guys are scalpers, day traders. 3250, if prices stays above that, we are seeing good chances that prices could sustain its upward movement. And for silver, and definitely, like I said, silver has chances to rebound, and this is actually giving us a good consolidations, and you guys could try to consider to entry here. But for me, I think I'll be focusing on gold for now. And all, I think it will be a bit tricky for trades, so I will be avoiding this for now. And back towards the key event for tonight, US dollar CAD. Let us try to see whether the price movement will be moving lower for the Canadian dollar or higher. So you guys try to take a note. If price breaks up here, try to do a buy. Price breaks down lower, do a sell. So that's all the recap for today, and hope we could see a good continuations here on the VIP live streaming sessions. And if you guys wanted to join our VIP live streaming sessions, you guys could check the link on my profile, and I'll show you guys to join my VIP live sessions, where I could be updating you guys what is happening around the market. Okay, so see you guys later on tonight. If not, here again at the same place at the same time. And for free premium signals like the ones you are seeing on the right hand side of the corner, you guys could get it by clicking the link on my profile and chat me there. Okay, so see you guys there. Bye.